In 1995, SEAL candidates would report to their permanent duty station after completing jump school in Fort Benning, Georgia. Brown, Turner, and Dager were all in the same class at Fort Benning, which allows for weekends off and relatively shortened work days. When left to his own devices, and if time allowed, Brown would often drink himself to a stupor, and jump school provided an opportunity for day drinking and an entire new group of enemies to engage.
We had gone to a mall during the daytime, and we went in an arcade playing some video games. And next thing I know, I look over, and he's fighting the guy who's manager of the arcade in the middle of the arcade. And of course, what do? I grab him, and I, sling him out the door and get everybody out and down the hall of the mall. And we walked right past the security guards who were going to find out what was going on, turned the corner and took off running back to the car.
The practice at the time was for candidates to report to their permanent duty station after completing jump school and begin SEAL tactical training.
I was assigned to SEAL Team 4 in Norfolk, Virginia Beach, Virginia.
From there, they would temporarily deploy to Puerto Rico for dive training and Fort A.P. Hill for land navigation and weapons training.
They refine certain skills, and they don't really put the screws to you, but they do apply some pressure here and there.
Just kind of rehashing everything you've learned so that the instructor and the guys you're working with can kind of watch what you're doing. Working out constantly, underwater demolition, diving, combat maneuvers, body snatching, planning missions, performing missions, all kinds of stuff. Same thing you do in Buzz, just more freedom.
While in Puerto Rico, Brown took advantage of the inexpensive rum the island offered. He intentionally drank the stronger rums with 75% alcohol by volume and constructed goals around his abusive behavior.
Extreme, always going to extreme. I worked up to where I could drink. I think it took me a 24-hour period. I drank like a case of beer and a fifth of 151. And that was quite a goal. It took me a while to achieve that.
I think it was a Sunday because we had a brunch, and at the brunch it was real nice. But in Puerto Rico, they were serving champagne, and so he had gotten a bottle of it and was drinking it just straight out the bottle. And we had ended up a little bit later out on the beach, and he had found a guy to give him some beer. So he was already drinking champagne, started drinking some beer. It was a really nice public beach, and it had a nice volleyball court. And volleyball is one of my favorite sports. And I was out there to play with some volleyball. And he was out there to get drunk and to kind of mess with me, I guess.
Well, just so happens we're playing a game, and one of these guys runs up to the court and says he and some of his SEAL team buddies wanted to play us in a game. And I look over in the area and I see Dusty. I hadn't seen him in quite a few years. It's been a long time. I went up and gave him a hug, asked him how he was doing. He introduced me to Billy. We proceeded to played a couple games of volleyball, but SEALs don't know how to play volleyball. That's about all I'm going to say.
It was in between games. I was standing on the side of the volleyball court, and he come up to me and he wanted to spar, as in he wanted to do some martial arts. This is how drunk he is on a public beach, and he wants me to do some martial arts with him, right? And of course, I told him to roll on, and he kept being persistent. He would come over and start kicking me in the leg, and I was trying to calm him down and tell him just, go find somewhere to lay down in the sun or something. And he kept coming at me. It was just so inappropriate for where we were at and everything. Put, kids and families on the beach and stuff. And he's come over wanting to spar martial arts with me, So finally, he just kept picking at me. So I retaliated, and I come across his head to kind of put him in a headlock.
like it was an accident, popped Billy in the nose with his elbow. The blood started shooting out.
And instantly bust his nose open, blood everywhere. And once he seen his own blood, he was irate.
Next thing I know, Billy jumped up and just started kicking and punching and screaming and yelling at every single person around. I mean, trying to get after Dusty.
So he was wanting to kill me. And so I was able to hold him down for a minute. He was trying to jab his thumb in my eye socket. And blood at this point was just all over both of us. And my buddy Sean come up and was trying to split us apart. And he threw an elbow and hit Sean in the lip, which put his tooth through his lip. And so he kind of fell down off to the side. And I think it was Chris Dagger or somebody come in and was able to get us apart. And Chris was there, I know he was. He took me on towards the base, and someone else grabbed him and tried to get him to settle down a little bit, calm down. He was so drunk.
About 5 hours after that, it was later on in the night, we're sitting outside of the barracks at the base, and I see this guy running down the beach wearing SEAL boots, wearing the SEAL shorts, nothing else on him except for a set of binoculars. And I recognized that it was Billy. So he stops, and he's about probably 30 feet away. I got up, walked over to him, and said hi and introduced myself again and said, "Hey, do you remember me from earlier today? I'm Matt, Dusty's friend. Just wanted to say hi, see what you were doing." He said, "Well, actually, I'm looking for Dusty." And I said, "Well, I haven't seen him. What are you looking for him for?" He said, quote unquote, he said, "Because I'm gonna fucking kill him."
And so I went into town for probably 4 or 5 hours. And when I came back, he was still looking for me, still drunk, and still irate, and he was telling people he wanted to kill me. So I eventually met up with him alone in like the locker room area, and I was able to calm him down. But as soon as I come to him, I was like, "Billy," and he squared up on me. I was like, "Look, man, what is wrong with you? Why are you so bad?" But I was able to calm him down again.
I wouldn't say that Dusty was a submissive person. I would just say he was normal, and that Brown was just kind of like over the top, obnoxious, and aggressive.
He's just one of those guys who, when he gets drunk, he's a different person.
He was a disaster when he drank.